Alright, lads. Today we're gonna do something a bit different, I guess. I'm not playing today. I got work and I'm tired. I got schoolwork and all this shit, but I will probably take an hour of my day, or potentially, or whatever, to go over this until I got nothing more to say about this. Is Dying Light a good perk? I thought the answer to this was obvious, but I've seen a lot of conflicting opinions on this subject. So, I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in because this is a perk I got great faith in. First of all, I believe I am on this record, on this channel, of saying that Dying Light is potentially, and after all the nerfs are said and done, will be the best perk installing the generators. That's what I believe. I've said that before. I'm not trying to sell you on that claim. Selling you on the claim that Dying Light is better than Thana or Pop, you know, I don't believe it. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't have Thana on enough killers yet, especially like I don't think I have Thana on everybody. It's just not appealing in the blood web. So I don't have Thana on anybody yet, so I can't, except for Nurse, so I'm not playing because I can't play her. So like, I still see Thana probably better on Legion. Maybe Legion will stack them, but like again, the problem here is that I still believe that the meta. I believe that a full meta build. I honestly think probably the best build in this game right now is Pop Goes the Weasel, Dying Light, Thanatophobia, and Discordance. I think that is the best perk in this game. I think if you're trying to shut down the survivors as effectively as you can, I think that is the best fucking build in this game of doing it. I think that's the meta build right now. Seriously. If we go from having one perk solo viable to controlling the gens in Hex Ruin to a complete generator focused build because they took it away from us, I think that's the best build in this game. But again, I advise you not to get comfortable with that because I think the combination they're going to nerf is Dying Light and Thanatophobia stacking together. I think that's the one to worry about. But anyway, because like what? Dying Light 15%, that's like Dying Light and Thanos stacking when Dying Light's actually doing something versus what, like you could potentially like inflict survivors with a 15. The Obsession would have the 16% from Thana, and then every other survivor would have a 16 plus like what 15% regression, 16 plus 15, 31%, 80 times 0.31 is what 24.8. Plus 80, that we're looking at a 104.8 second generator. That's the fucking time it should be base. So there you go. That's why Thana and Dying Light are so good together, because Thana and Dying Light, they make the gem what it should be. What's 44 times 16 plus 15? I forget it. 31. So 0.31 times 44, 13, and even then, that wouldn't do much on 57.64. That's what that does to us as when 2 people are on it. At least that's what I think it does. If that's the right math. I'm going over an analysis, friend. Can you read? Is Dying Light a good perk? That's the title. Can you read? Okay, but anyway, so. You have those numbers, so I'm not trying to convince you one's better than the other, but we're sitting here going over Dying Light on its own, because I watched Oats Vara's video about like every killer perk in the game. He gave Dying Light a terrible rating. Terrible, like 1 out of 5. Terrible. Yeah, I can't actually agree with that, dude. Okay, so I have my own perk scale. Let me find Dying Light. It's right here. Okay. So, Dying Light. Okay, so if everybody knows my perk scale is the activation condition of the perk, the effect, the priority of the effect, the counterplay, and the drawback. Okay? So all of those go into having a perk. Dying Light alone can be bad, but with other perks it can be very good. I'm getting there. And also, not necessarily. Can be bad doesn't mean it's bad. It can be bad. Every perk in the game can be bad if the survivors are gen rushing you. That's not a knock against the perk. Okay, anyway. So the activation condition, you have to down survivors. Specific survivors. So that's a bad activation condition. 1 out of 10. The effect, it's a gen stalling effect. That's like the best kind of effect in this game. Now granted that like its effect shifts between like how much pressure you have on them, so like I'm talking about again when it's around 15%, when it's doing the most for you and the game's not over yet. So 12 to 15%, that affects an 8. That's like around the Thana numbers. 12, 15, 18%. That effect is an 8. Stalling the gens that much, that's an 8 out of 10 effect. The only bad thing about the effect itself is that it gives this obsession a buff, and then the obsession's not affected by it. That's why it's not a perfect effect. But what it's doing, gen stalling, is a 10 out of 10 effect. It just has 2 drawbacks, which is why it loses 2 points. Now, priority of the effect, because a tracking perk is inherently worse than a gen stalling perk 9 times out of 10. So the priority effect, stalling the generator, is 10 out of 10. That's a 10 out of 10 effect. The counterplay to the effect, what are the survivors affected by Dying Light supposed to do? Can they counterplay its effect? No, they cannot. 0. So that they have no counterplay of the effect. They just have to power through the damn thing. So that I guess you could argue kiting, but I don't. So either way, it's a 9 or a 10. I'm giving it a 10. And the drawback, the way the drawback works is that the worse that the drawback is, the lower the number is. Dying Light's drawback is actually not that big of a deal when you really think about this here. Because the obsession gets a speed heal, right? They get that speed heal. But like, who cares? I know that's a controversial hot take, but like, you know how many people like staying injured at red ranks? Like, yeah, if the obsession has the 33% boost, that's a free perk, they'll probably take the heal 9 times out of 10. Yeah, I understand that. But like, do you know how many people like staying injured at the red ranks? Like, being injured's not that big of a deal. So what? And the obsession doesn't only get that boost to healing him themselves. So if you hit the obsession, they still take long to heal. But like, theoretically, the win condition of the game, it's not healing. The win condition of the game for survivors is not healing, it's the gens. You hit them right in the fucking win condition with this perk. Let me pull it up, just so I can have its effect. When you use Dying Light, you hit them right in the fucking win condition. Oh, I just prestiged Myers, right. Freddy's got it. Because granted, yeah, it's better on some killers than others. The more lethal your killer is, the better it does on. But like, so like, that's the thing. This perk is good on lethal killers that can get downs really fast. That's why I don't see why Oates said to run it on Legion. I think Legion can probably stack it with Thana. I think Legion, that's a deadly combination. But so yeah, this is one of the rare perks to hit them right in the fucking win condition. You know how many perks don't do that? You know how many perks we get to be... Look at that. All, like, okay, granted that the new killer has 2 perks that are generator related. They're not that great, though. They're very specific. This perk is a passive stall to their win condition. That's a 10 out of 10 effect. And so when you take all those numbers I gave and did the average, I believe it is a 7.2. So yeah, it's probably a 7 out of 10 perk. Is the point. Because yeah, 7.2. Because it's like, why would you ever run something like, I don't know, any of these, like, why? Make your choice. Make your choice doesn't hit them in the win condition. Make your choice does not hit them in the win condition. So Dying Light trash. I disagree, dude. Disagree. But so like, you make your choice doesn't hit him in the win condition. Why the fuck would you ever run this perk? You have to like why the hell would you ever run this? There's no need to ever run this. Dark Devotion, that's a fun little gimmick, doesn't hit him in the win condition. So even if you're making these perks work, you could still potentially be losing horribly. If you're making Dying Light work, you're stalling them. You're stalling them because this perk, even you're getting an effect that's hitting them in the damn win condition. So that's something that, but you can't say it's a garbage perk because it does that. It can give you numbers that potentially hit them in the win condition to an extreme degree. This perk is solo viable if you use it on the right killer. I use it on Freddy. I solo run this on Freddy. Yeah, who cares? I just went over that. Who cares? It doesn't do it to gen speed. Who cares? People at the red ranks don't mind being injured for more than, so like, even, yeah, the obsession will probably heal them, but like, who cares? It hits them in the gens. You can get all the heals you want. I don't care. Hits you on the gens. Go do a generator. Yeah, the obsession doesn't take the debuff, which sucks, and I wish that, yeah, corrupt doesn't do anything. I don't think you won because you had corrupt with spirit. I think corrupt kind of helped you a tiny little bit, but you could have ran literally anything else and it would have been better. Corrupt only lasts 2 minutes. Yeah, brutal killer is a win against sweats. Absolutely. So anyway, so yeah, I that's my rating for Dying Light is a 7.2 out of 10. But we got two people. We're going to talk about Oats Vara's video about every perk rated. We're going to find his Dying Light section, and then there's one more video I want to cover about Dying Light, and then I think that's everything I want to do. I'm not here long today, lads.
That time, many things can happen. I have gotten on a gen with
Infectious Fright is good. I'll give you that. There's Noed. Okay, here we go. His Dying Light section was actually pretty long.
And what this means is that if your killer had 32 meter terror radius, now he has
2.5 sabotage. Oh yeah, let's go over the sabotage time. Since Dying Light's so bad, does Thana do it too? Well, you see, I don't know who has more of a life, me or him. Does Thana work for sabotaging too? I believe it does. Yeah. See, this is another reason why Thana and Dying Light are about to get better. See, especially, this will probably be better with Thana because it'll be easier to set up, but Dying Light's permanent, so that's the trade-off between the two. But, Thana and Dying Light are about to get better because sabotaging's about to get better. So I'm telling you, if they have if they have a 15% penalty to sabotage speeds because of Dying Light, sabotaging's not viable. Because it takes 2.5 seconds. What's 2.5 times 0.15 times 0.15? What is that? Times 0.15, 3 point. That's as big as I thought it was. Okay, let's see your. That's another half a second. Yeah, that's another half a second. That turns a 2.5 into a 3 second. How about if you stack it? So 16 plus 15. Oh shit. 16 plus 15 is 31.31 times 2.5 times 2.5. I'm stupid. 0.31 times. Yeah, there you go. That's like a whole other half a second. So like you can almost get them a whole like extra second on their sabotage times if you run these perks together. Yeah. They're going down if they even try to sabotage if you have the right stack combination on there. Plus 2.5. Yeah, 3.2. That changed the sabotage time to like almost 3.5 seconds. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. They're gonna get down because after you hit them, it interrupts the animation. They have to start over again. So yeah, Thana and Dying Light are about to get even better because they stopped Sabo. But anyway, Oats Solara, the main man.
Meter terror radius, which means that survivors can hear you from further away, which means that survivors will know that you're coming a little bit sooner, which means that you have this. Why is this a killer perk?
Well, yeah.
What?
It's talking about distressing.
Why is this not a survivor perk? What?
I would rather it be a killer perk though, because then it's contained. Its garbageness is at least contained.
Yes.
Not necessarily. Not if you're on a lethal enough killer to make it work, like Freddy. This Freddy build here is actually really nice. On a killer like Freddy, it's actually decent on by itself. This build here, I have never lost with this build. This build here, top tier. Of course, you could take the most expendable perk in this combination is Noed. So yeah, you could make it even better. I could take Noed out for Pop or Thana, and the build would probably be even better. But the point is, I think Dying Light is solo viable as the gen stalling perk if you're playing the right killer. It's not solo viable on every single killer. It depends on the killer. But on like Nurse or Spirit or somebody, it's definitely solo viable. Because those numbers are not something to spit at, and you get rewarded just for playing the game when you do it. Especially Pop, because like if Dying Light and Thana I think the best build in this game right now is Discordance, Dying Light, Thanatophobia, Pop Goes the Weasel. Yeah, if on a lethal enough killer, Dying Light's solo viable. That doesn't mean you run it solo, but I think it's solo viable.
Because there are some killers who can benefit from having a bigger terror radius.
Come on,
like the Doctor have an ability that is tied to their terror radius.
Get ready. I don't want to hear this anymore. Okay.
And then everyone else had a massive debuff.
Okay, he's going.
Worked it to work pretty much in the opposite way. And even though in paper it can sound good, I honestly think that this is terrible.
Yeah, he gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. As I said, a perk that the way that the game is right now, the way that the Dying Light is right now, you cannot say it's terrible because it has synergy. The fact that the main reason that it's not terrible, 1 out of 5 stars, terrible garbage perk, is because it has synergy. If you want to say it's garbage by itself, I'll respect your opinion on that one. I would disagree, but it's like, okay, yeah, I got it. You want it to have support. That's one thing. Saying the perk is terrible and can't do anything, like Oatsvara said, that's not true. Not true at all.
Perk that I sometimes use because it might have some uses, and we'll get to that, but the fact that it can trick people into thinking that it's good when it actually doesn't really help them that much, the fact that it's so deceiving and it's so hard to understand what makes it bad, I think.
But like, to say that Dying Light is deceiving is to say Thana's deceiving, because they pretty much do the same thing. They dog barking. But yeah, they pretty much do the same thing when you're after a 15% gen stall. So to say that Dying Light is bad is to say Thana is bad. Which, yeah, Thana's not great on its own, but like, we live in a post-ruin time. Like, that's the thing I think a lot of these people forget. We live in a post-ruin time where they made Hex Ruin one of the worst perks in this game. So like, to say like you'd rather run Ruin than Dying Light? Good luck with that.
Not enough warrants it the title of terrible perk. Now, Dying Light does 2 things. One, it's an obsession perk, of course, so it picks an obsession, and that obsession is buffed by Dying Light. This obsession will heal other people, not themselves with a medkit or with self-care, but other people in general, 33% quicker.
33% quicker. Okay, let's actually go over that. It takes 16 seconds to heal somebody, right? Yeah, 16 seconds, so 16 times 0.33. It's a 5.5 second buff to healing. So 11 seconds, essentially. And so like, if essentially they get 11 seconds on healing. Big whoop. Yeah, they save 5 seconds. That's what that actually means. They save 5 seconds on healing. So here's what you gotta, but this is actually hard to quantify because as the killer, you're not seeing this as much. You'll have to like really take it in mind when you're a survivor. So they save 5 seconds on every heal that the obsession does. Not every heal the obsession does. So is that trade-off better or worse than what they're getting on the generators, which is like another what? So they save 5 seconds on healing on 15%. 80 times 0.15 is an additional 12 seconds on the generator. I would rather every survivor get that buff to healing and they stay on the generator. Healing is like healing's less important than the generators are. That's why you see so many people stay injured, especially towards the end of the game, because survivors know that healing is less important than the generators. So it's like, okay, I'll make healing 5 seconds easier for one guy to get 3 guys a 12% extra penalty on a generator, which could potentially save you what if one guy does 3 gens with Dying Light and you have like a decent amount of stacks on it. They could save you what? 12 times 3 would be what? 36 seconds. So what? No, 12 times 3. Yeah, 36. So you're saving half a minute as killer, giving up 5 seconds. So if it's in order for the obsession to 36, so that would be, yeah. The obsession has to do 3 heals for you to make up the 3 generators. So it's like 1 heal per generator, I guess is what I'm trying to get at here. That I don't know. I'm not good with math. So, but like the point is though that like healing is less good for them than doing the generators are. So like this obsession buff matters way less than everybody likes to say it does.
It's like giving a survivor a perk slot, and don't you worry. The perk shows up on their HUD with a little buff icon, so they're gonna know that they have it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Surprised, I didn't even realize. They're gonna know that they have it. They're gonna know that this perk is working. It's not subtle. It's not subtle in the slightest. They're gonna know. So basically, it gives them a buff equivalent to one of their own perks, and this will obviously stack with anything else they have. So if the obsession has, say, a perk called botany knowledge, they're gonna be healed.
Yeah, the obsession has botany knowledge. Who's running botany knowledge at the red ranks? A perk that lets them do something they don't really care about, like healing. Does anybody? I used to run botany knowledge back when I was a yellow rank survivor. So, like, who the hell's running? I don't have to go back through my games. I don't think I've ever seen botany knowledge at the red ranks. Who the hell's running botany knowledge? So it's like, yeah, well, botany knowledge counters this on paper. Yeah, who's running botany knowledge? That's like saying, that's the equivalent of saying that Hex the third seal counters object of obsession. Oh, like, yeah, but who the fuck runs the third seal? Who the fuck, how, you can't really be banking on a Hex the third seal play. Like, so like that's what I hear when he's telling me that botany knowledge counters it. Like, who cares?
66% quicker now. It's quite nuts. Of course, healing other people. So it gives a buff to the obsession, and to everybody else, it gives a small debuff. The obsession is not affected by this debuff.
Okay, let's talk about the language that he just used. This is I'm not gonna say he's manipulative or anything. This is just the language that he used. He's talking about the small, quote unquote, small debuff. The small debuff hits them right directly in the win condition, and it's not that small and it's permanent and they can't do anything about it. They have no counterplay to it. It's not even like Thana where they can heal and then the debuff goes away. Granted, that's the big lie of Thana, but it's still like not a problem. Who cares? Like the debuff hits them in the gens, and as the debuff stacks up, you got 9%. Even when you got something as little as 3 downs to get 9%. Like, especially when you combine it with Pop Goes the Weasel, that Dying Light, those numbers on Dying Light can be the difference between a Pop Goes the Weasel and a not Pop Goes the Weasel. Which you could say, oh, well, that's the same thing on, that applies to Thanatophobia too, you could say. So why one Dying Light over Thana? Well, yeah, well, here's the thing. Well, Dying Light versus Thana is a trap in and of itself. Okay, so pretend we don't have Thanatophobia, because I don't actually think I do on Freddy, and if I do, it's like a 1 and not worth it. So, like, okay, pretend, yeah, I don't have it. Oh, okay, so Dying Light's such a bad perk, right, because it's not as good as Thana. So that's why we'll take it off for, we'll take off Dying Light for something like, I don't know, Overcharge, or, Whispers, or, like, the decent perks, maybe Enduring, Sloppy Butcher. I don't think you're getting as much mileage out of that. Like seriously, I don't think Freddy needs something like Enduring, because Freddy has enough counterplay and enough chase potential to get it. You certainly don't need Corrupt. Like, we're sitting here going through, like, decreased cooldown from Save the Bestial Last. Wouldn't you rather hit him in the generators? Like, wouldn't you rather hit him in the gens, especially on a killer that doesn't need that much help in the chase? And would you want to run Ruin? Yeah, a joke. It's a joke. Like, Dying Light, even if you're of the opinion that Dying Light is worse than Thanatophobia, Dying Light is still better than, like, 90% of the perks in this game. So, like, seriously, you can't say it's a terrible perk. I think it's part of the meta build right now. I think it's part of the best build in this game. Best build is Dying Light, Discordance, Thanatophobia, and Pop Goes the Weasel. That is the meta build of this game right now. I love it. You take Ruin away, and I think literally the meta build has to shift to accommodate that. I don't think any, like seriously, even when you see somebody, like, run something like Play With Your Food, how much was that really doing for you, dude? How much, like, if you were running Dying Light in the same build over Play With Your Food, like, wouldn't Dying Light be doing more for you? Because it's stalling the generators even more? I don't know. I just feel like on Freddy, chasing is redundant. I feel like he's good enough on his own to not need it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb, though.
Debuff, which is the most insulting part of this perk, and I'll get to why. But this debuff doesn't start at the start of the game. The buffing to the obsession is at the very start until the very end.
Okay.
But the debuff is not there. So this perk at the start of the game.
Yeah, I don't like how it buffs the obsession right away. Okay, I'll give you all that. But like, I still don't think that matters very much. But again, like to say that Dynamite's bad because its debuff's not at the start of the game. It's saying Pop Goes the Weasel's bad because you have to do what it does at the start of the game. It's saying that Thana's bad because it doesn't apply immediate debuffs. No perk, no gem perk in the game applies immediate something immediate except for Corrupt, because they took Ruin out. They took Ruin out. So like, we live in a post-Ruin time. Yeah, I know that Dying Light was even better with Ruin because like it allowed Ruin to do its job before Dying Light was set up. That was always the goal, and like with those two. But like, when you ran those together, but like, we live in a post-Ruin time. You have to stall the gen somehow. Like, why would you make your choice over Dying Light? I don't understand that.
You're most vulnerable when you most need help from all of your perks, hopefully.
Okay, you most need help from all your perks in the early game. What the hell is Save the Best for Last doing for you as soon as the match starts? Save the Best for Last is bad because, well, like seriously, I could say the exact same thing. When you are the most vulnerable, Save the Best for Last does nothing for you. Half the perks in this game don't do anything. When you are most vulnerable, Dark Devotion does nothing for you. All the perks that he rated higher than Dying Light, the same counter argument applies to literally all of them. When you are most vulnerable, they're not doing anything. Like, seriously. And, like, this is the nature of, like, these perks. This is a problem with Killer itself. The fact that you're so pressured because you can lose a minute later if you don't have enough pressure on the board in a minute. That's the fault of the developers. Not blaming any one specific person for that. But like, seriously, what, Ruin? You're gonna run Ruin. Yeah, good luck, but I'll say a lot. Good luck. You're gonna run Ruin. Get the fuck out of here, kid. When you're the most vulnerable, half these perks don't do anything for you. Sloppy doesn't do anything for you unless you hit somebody, and even then, still 2 gens can fly. Infectious Fright's not doing anything for you when you're the most vulnerable and the most need help. That applies to, like, every single perk in this game. So you can't say Dying Light is bad for that specific reason when it applies to every perk in this game.
Virus. That is so bad. So bad.
But that applies to everything.
But let's assume that you actually are winning, that you actually are making progress towards the match. How exactly does this perk work? When you hook someone other than the obsession, you gain a token. And obviously, you can only do that a number of times until you eventually kill all the survivors. So the tokens are limited to roughly like 11 or something like that if you do magic, but
yeah, but like we're talking like the viable numbers where it's like it's like at Thana's numbers plus a little bit, plus or minus a little bit when it's from like 12 to like what 16, 12 to 16 or 19%. 12, 15, 18, 21, like those numbers. From 12 to 21% is when this perk is doing the most for you.
This perk will mostly reach 7 or 8 tokens before you start killing him.
So he was even more generous. He gave the thing 8 tokens. He gave it 8. I'm being less generous. He gave it 8. So he's saying that a 24% regression to gens is like not very good. And like when Dying Light's on and you have a 24% stack, especially if there's 3 generators left, and there's what 3 survivors left. Or even 4 at that point. And if you're chasing one of them, maybe one of them slugged or something, they're fucked, dude. They're fucked. They're stalled.
Every one of those tokens, 3% reduction to repair, killing, and sabotage speeds, and that's great.
Yeah,
because
it is
repairs are obviously in
they're the win
game.
condition.
Healing happens fairly often, so that's good. And sabotaging speeds, nobody sabotages these days, but with the upcoming changes, sabotage might be more of a thing, so it's good to have, right? However, here's a problem. Let's do some quick analysis. There are 4 survivors, right? One of them is the obsession, and obviously they don't count because they're not affected by this perk. Also, if the obsession happens to die magically, the perk goes away. Okay,
the obsession dying, the perk goes away. Yes, I completely agree that can be an issue that the perk has. The problem with that though is that killing a survivor is natural, impressive slowdown. So, like, it depends on how well the game is going for you. You can say, okay, Dying Light's only at, like, 3 stacks, and I have the obsession about to die, and there's 3 gens left. You can go, okay, Dying Light's not really doing much for me. Let me just kill the obsession real fast. And then guess what? Yeah, the perk goes away, but you've killed off somebody. So, like, when you kill the obsession, that's inherently good. Killing somebody is inherently good for killer. If you want to trade your 3 Dying Light stacks for a death on the obsession, because I only recommend killing the obsession when Dying Light's not doing anything for you. So, if it's not doing anything for you and you'd rather take the kill, it's a good trade that you can have. Granted, Thana, you don't have to make the trade, so I'll give you that, but Thana's numbers start to go down as well when people are dying. Dying Light's numbers don't go down when somebody dies. So if you kill somebody on Dying Light, like, Thana becomes less oppressive. Dying Light becomes even worse, which means it can help your snowballing. If you manage to kill the obsession, it does go away. But if you kill somebody that's not the obsession, and they have 3 people left, 2 generators with a 24% regression on gen speeds, that's horrible. That especially then you can figure, like, yeah, the obsession's not affected, but, like, who said that chasing the obsession was bad with this perk? If you're chasing the obsession, you're gonna get that down and continue to your pressure. And then if they let the obsession die, because that's what you could say, well, they could let the obsession die. Well, then guess what? They have 3 generators left, 2 people. You won! GG! You won! So, like, if the obsession dies, bullshit. It's natural slowdown. That's good.
So insulting, but let's forget about that. The obsession, obviously not affected by the perk. And now, you are chasing one of the... You want to ignore the obsession, so you're chasing one of the other...
You want to ignore the obsession. That's a misconception. Again, like I just said, when you get stacks, ignoring the obsession is not a bad play. And also, don't ignore anybody. Don't ignore anybody. Never ignore anybody. I'm telling you, they'll make the save. I'm telling you that they'll make the save. I know red rank survivors. They'll make the save. They'll make that save on the obsession. And if they don't, okay, you killed somebody. If they really don't.
This person is being chased by you right now. And because they're being chased, they're not healing, they're not repairing, they're not sabotage, they're being chased. Obviously, this person is not under the effect of this perk. So at any given time, you're only affecting 2 people with this perk. And if you've already killed one of them, well, you're only affecting 1 person.
Yeah, but if 1 person is dead, if you've killed one of them, chances are, okay, if you killed one of them already, chances are you have a 9% stack on Dying Light, at least. So we're talking mid-game, when you probably have even more stacks. So, the very minimum 9%, and then at maximum, again, probably around 18 to 21% is what we're talking about. So we got 2 survivors with a 21% penalty to their gen speeds, and an obsession who you could chase and then affect both people on the generators with it to guarantee yourself a down. Like how is that not good? Even if you're only affecting 1 person, like, you still bought yourself time enough to win. So, like, I don't understand why we're still saying this perk is bad.
This perk has just so many conditions. If they made it so that it also affected the obsession, and it didn't give them a silly buff, it could be salvageable. The
buff is objectively silly. Completely agree with that. But I also, the fact that it doesn't affect the obsession is like bad, but it doesn't make the perk bad. What it's doing is still inherently valuable. It's still inherently valuable. You cannot say it's 1 out of 5. If you want to say it's worse than Thana, worse than Pop, that's a different argument. That's an argument that I bet most of the player base would even agree with you on. Like, as I'm sitting here thinking about, on paper, Thana and Pop probably even sound better. So it's, but like, you know, but this is still inherently good. This is still worth your perk slot over something like Bitter Murmur or Make Your Choice any day of the week.
But as it is right now, it is a really bad perk. The only 2 things I can think this perk does well, number 1, it stacks with other perks. So if you're running this with Sloppy, with Thunderphobia, with other slowdown perks, that tiny little bit of 3%, 2%, it can add up with these perks, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, that is really nice, and definitely better, because you gotta remember, in any build nowadays, if you're not running at least 2 generator-related perks, your build's probably not meta. It could even this build I have right here. You get to the weakest perk here is Noed. You could easily take that out for Pop Goes the Weasel. You could easily take it out, and then boom, you have something like this. This is like really fucking good. Actually, yeah, I'm looking at this build right here. This build is actually really brutal. There is no weak link here. There is no weak link here. Every perk here is doing something for what I'm trying to do. This is why I don't think Thrilling Tremors is like optimal with Pop Goes the Weasel. I think Discordance is the optimal thing to run with Pop Goes the Weasel, because you gotta know what gen they're working on with those broken times. Once you accept that 44 seconds is the number that's killing you as a killer, and 44 seconds is the number that's busted, then you'll start taking steps to get rid of it. Because like you have to wonder, why am I losing games? Like when you lose a game, you have to wonder why. I guarantee you, when you lose a game as killer, every time you lose, it's because they did this. They took advantage of this. The fact that their generator times take 44 seconds. When you're losing a game as killer, I guarantee you they did multiple, especially if you're losing in the first 10 minutes. If you're losing in the first 10 minutes, there's no way they didn't take advantage of the fact that they have 44-second gen speeds. Once you accept that the 44-second gen speeds are busted, you will, that's the broken thing that they have. The most broken thing that they have in this game is aren't the loops, it's the gens. It's the generators. Once seriously, once you accept the fact that those are busted, you will start making sure you can slow those down with every single perk on your roster, and then you'll start winning. I promise you'll start winning as soon as you do that, because the generators are broken. If somebody is looping you, leave them. If somebody is really like looping you at an unmind-gameable location, leave them. Yeah, the location's stupid, but like seriously, when you're getting looped, this is what's killing you. The fact that they're doing this to you. 44-second gen speeds. That's what's killing you. They can literally cut their generator speed in half. That's what's killing you, ladies and gentlemen, as a killer. So your entire build needs to be reflective to stopping that. How does Make Your Choice shut down to 44 seconds? It doesn't. How does Save the Best for Last shut down to 44 seconds? It doesn't. Like a lot of these the only Infectious Fright can, because Infectious Fright can get some slug pressure started. So that's actually pretty nice. How do any of these perks, like these are all bad perks, so that's kind of not fair, I guess. Let me see like something better. How does Franklin's Demise shut down the 44-second gen speeds? It doesn't. It doesn't. A lot of these perks don't do that. How does Hex Ruin shut down the 44-second gen speeds that survivors have? It doesn't. It doesn't. How does Pop Goes the Weasel shut down the 44-second gen speeds that they have? It doesn't. It doesn't. You have to actually get it down and then go over, but it still doesn't affect their gen speeds. Dying Light can actively affect the 44-second gen speed time that they have. It can give you 9 more seconds, which is like, what? Better than any other perk in this game besides maybe Thana under some conditions. Like, seriously, people. Once you accept that the most broken thing survivors have is the 44-second gen speeds, anything you can do to shut that down is how you win this game. Anything. Literally fucking anything. And that's why, I'm seriously, I'm telling you, I have the most success with Freddy because this is my build. This is my build. Swapping out Pop for maybe Noed sometimes. But, like, this is the build that gives you the most success with shutting down the 44 seconds. You have to destroy that. You have to stop it. You literally don't have a choice. The devs won't fix it. The devs will not fix the critical flaw of this game, so you as the killer have to. That's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, again, there are still games where it probably won't work because it's just so broken that there's nothing you can do about it. But, like, if you want to win, you have to shut down the 44-second gen times. And, like, here's the thing. Nobody on YouTube is saying that but me. Nobody. Nobody talks about that. The fact that they can cut their generator speeds in half, and it's so broken. Everyone's saying that the generator speeds are too good, but nobody's telling you why. No one's telling you why. This is why. Because they can cut it in half with Discordance. Run Discordance. If you don't believe me, just do this. I want you to run Discordance, and then don't punish it. Like, when survivors are on a generator, just stay doing what you're doing. Pretend you don't have discordance. Pretend you don't know. See what it's doing. Like, just study their actions when you do it. I guarantee you that they pop one gen, move immediately on to the next one, and discordance will light up again. That's what will be going on. If you can punish it, if you go over there and immediately stop it, the gen times will be inherently slower. That's why discordance, I don't classify it as a tracking perk, I classify it as a gen stall perk. Because this perk will shut them down. Because it is really taking care of those times. You combine it with these two, you give Dying Light. Here's the beauty of the perk. Here's the combo I'm going for here. You got discordance. You just down somebody across the map, right? This combo works with anybody, not just Freddy. It's like pretend your teleporter's on cooldown. You've just downed somebody, okay? You hooked somebody. Barbecue goes off, and then you don't get anything out of barbecue. Discordance pops like maybe a few seconds later because they were in lockers. They got out of the locker, discordance pops over, your teleport is still on cooldown, the Dying Light, the stuff you're getting from Dying Light is stopping them from popping the generator that you know you have to go to because you have discordance. And then you go over there because the Dying Light has now saved you because the gen did not get popped because those penalties because of Dying Light, even if it didn't like do massively, it saved the generator so you can kick it with Pop Goes the Weasel. That's synergy. That's called synergy. You can't say Dying Light is trash because it's got synergy with some of the best perks in the game. Even if you want to say Dying Light's not very good, that's one thing. But the fact that Dying Light, like seriously, if your teleport's on cooldown or you're just not playing Freddy and this is your combination that you're going with, if you're playing, I don't know, Legion or something, Discordance lights up, the Dying Light saves you, Dying Light / Thanos save you, you go over here, kick the gem with Pop. There you go. Easy. Easy, lads. And again, you could say, well, Thanos better than Dying Light at doing that, but here's the thing. Again, if you were running something like Save the Best for Last over Dying Light, how does that help you? Like, yeah, you could potentially get the information with discordance, go over there to kick the generator with Pop, but it still pops on you. Dying Light was actually doing something for the combo in that situation. And then you kick a generator from 95, that was on 99% to it's on like what now? 75%, 70%? Because you kicked it? Yeah, it's about 74%. It's now on, and it's regressing because you just kicked it. And if you didn't have Dying Light, that didn't work. Yeah, Dying Light's better than Thanos, but like it doesn't matter if Thanos is better than Dying Light. That's not the argument here. The argument here is that like if you run other stuff over Dying Light, you're gonna get less out of it. That's the point I'm trying to make here.
And it kind of psychologically beats survivors up a bit. They feel like, oh, this is too slow, even though it's not really that slow. It might induce them into making more mistakes that they normally would make. So that's nice. And two, it might trick the obsession into being altruistic. It might make the obsession be like, oh, I can heal quick, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna heal everybody. And for some killers, like say Legion, which is the only killer I've ever run this perk on, that can be good.
Yeah.
Every survivor grouped up, you can go and stab all of them and make use of your ability, which benefits from multiple survivors being together. Other than that horrible perk, please do not run.
It's not horrible because of that synergy. You can't say it's horrible. And then, last thing. Now, the last video that we're gonna go over before we call it quits is this one here, by Space Coconut. Now, remember, I'll preface this video with the fact that this one was made September 25th, 2019, pre-Ruin nerf, right? Yeah, pre-Ruin nerf. So I'm kind of mixed on like, do I cover this because it's pre-Ruin, like, or pre-Ruin nerf, or this guy never ran Ruin, so we can basically cover it anyway because this guy never ran Ruin. Now, it could be assumed that he's assuming you're running Ruin with it, but he never specifies that, so we're just gonna analyze it, see how it holds up.
Space Coconut.
Okay, today let's talk about Dying Light. Dying Light was recently reworked to make it healthier for survivors that fell under its effects. Originally, the perk required the killer to tunnel the obsession in order for the effect to reliably take place. This often meant that a killer would bring a Mori into the match to initiate the effect as soon as possible, which didn't exactly create a fun environment for the obsession, who was often eliminated immediately. The remaining survivors then suffered a 25% reduction to their actions, most importantly gen progression, in addition to losing a teammate altogether, which can often spell doom for the survivor just on its own. However, that doom would cause survivors to go into stealth mode and end up dragging the match out to absurd lengths. Because of these issues, it was recently changed. But before I get into this, YouTube hasn't been promoting my videos like it used to. If you like content like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to tell YouTube that you'd like to see these types of videos. It goes a long way to helping the channel grow so I can do this full time. The new and improved Dying Light says, you become obsessed with one survivor. Your obsession gains a 33% action speed bonus to unhooking and healing other survivors. Each time you hook a survivor other than the obsession, if the obsession is alive, gain a token. If the obsession is alive, all survivors who are not the obsession get a 3% penalty to repair, healing, and sabotage speeds for each token. The killer can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time. Unfortunately, like many other questionable perks, Dying Light applies a debuff to survivors in order to hinder their progress in their primary objective.
Okay, now he said like all questionable perks. Okay, I immediately just chalked this up to him being in a pre-ruined nerf society, but with the environment that the game is in right now, you just can't say that stuff like this is questionable. This is mandatory. This is absolutely mandatory. You have to bring at least 2 of these. You have to bring at least 2 perks that slow down gens in a match, or else your build's just straight up not viable. You have to. You have to. This stuff is mandatory. It doesn't matter if it's questionable, because it'll make it less fun for survivors. Big fucking deal. Fucking survivors, you shouldn't fucking care about survivors. Fuck survivors.
Because of this and its stackability with Thanatophobia and other generator inhibiting things in the game, its implementation means a longer time staring at the generator progress bar for survivors.
Who the fuck cares? That's what I say. Who the fuck cares? You're there, or they are your opponents. Who the fuck cares what they're doing? The only time I will pity a survivor is after the match is over. That, who the hell cares if it means a longer time staring at the generator progress bar? You know what? That should be fucking base. Longer time staring at the fucking generator progress bar. Because the fact is, with what they have now, creates unfair conditions for you, the killer. For you. That's what really fucking matters right now. They create an unfavorable, toxic environment that you have to deal with. So if you need to make them spend a little longer staring at the generator progress bar, big fucking whip, dude.
The most exciting part of Dead by Daylight. The Hillbilly, Freddy, and Huntress all have add-ons that will hinder generator progress.
The Hillbilly, Huntress, and Freddy. 3 top 6 killers. Yeah, 3 top 6 killers. What the hell's the Legion do, dude? What the hell's Demo do? What the hell's Oni do? What the hell any of these people do? What the hell's a Plague do? What the hell's a Pig do? Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
These add-ons both have a note saying they will not stack, but I'm not sure if this means they won't stack with another of that killer's add-ons.
It means they won't stack with another killer's add-ons.
With any other similar effects, like multiple instances of the mangled status effect. Regardless, gaining a token on hook is more of a problem than it sounds. Problem number 1. Dying Light encourages tunneling and rewards you for getting hit by DS. Yeah, I know.
Okay, that's just not... granted, Dying Light has potential to, like, make DS go in your favor, but, the perk still doesn't promote tunneling. Just because of the straight-up meta of the game. They're just, like, to say that Dying Light promotes tunneling ignores how fucking good Decisive Strike is. It ignores how fucking destructive even one Decisive Strike can be to your game. If you get hit by Decisive Strike, chances are all of your momentum is gone. Chances are all of it is gone, or it's about to be gone. The killer never wants to get hit by Decisive Strike. Dying Light can, like, potentially give you a reward for getting hit by it, but no killer wants to get hit by Decisive Strike. Like, how many times you play in as Ghostface, you get hit by DS and go, man, that really furthered my play. That really advanced my win condition. 0. 0. Granted, you can like make the survivor, if the survivor hits the DS on their second hook, you can then go for a tunnel. But here's the thing. Like, this guy's promoting you to go out and, like, not tunnel ever, right? Well, here's the problem with that. If you chase one survivor, hook him. I'm not gonna camp. I go out, chase survivor 2. No, that's good. Chase survivor 3, down him, rah, and then you hook him out. Let's go find survivor 4. No, that's not gonna help you. You need to get their numbers out of the fucking game. So, switching targets is not something you want to really be doing. You need to get their numbers out of the game. Granted, you need to do this in a way that gets rid of tunneling and not get hit by DS, because getting hit by DS can legit lose you the game. Seriously, getting hit by Decisive Strike can legit lose you the game. And 4 people run it in a match. And so, like, that, yeah, ridiculous. 4 people can run it, and if you get hit by it once, you lose. That's why I think it was low-key buffed, but whatever.
Oh, weird, right? In order to efficiently gain tokens, it's a good choice to tunnel the survivor off of the hook.
No, it's not.
I hear you say, but what about DS?
Yeah, what about DS?
The funny thing is that now DS will actually work in your favor.
Oh, yeah?
Hook a non-obsession and gain a token. They get rescued, you down them, you pick them up, and you get hit by Decisive Strike. That survivor who is now your obsession.
Yeah, so you down one survivor, hook them, 3% boost to, it's 3% debuff to everybody. You tunnel the guy, get hit by DS, boom, ding, 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 3 gens are done, and then Dying Light's too slow to do anything for you. 1 DS can ruin your whole fucking match. And then that 3%, maybe it'll get to maybe we'll get to 6 or 9 by the time they have like half of a gen left. Yeah, big fucking deal, dude. Big fucking deal. That's a misuse of it. Getting hit by DS is never something you want. I don't understand why we're having this conversation. Yeah, Dying Light can potentially reward getting hit by DS, because you can then hit the obsession and then get a different token on somebody you couldn't get a token on before. But that wouldn't be tunneling the survivor, would it? Which you just said it rewards tunneling the survivor. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And plus, tunneling the survivor, getting hit by DS, continuing to tunnel that survivor would be immediately continuing to tunnel that survivor, which would mean you would kill the obsession earlier, meaning you actually wouldn't get many stacks on Dying Light. You'd be wasting it. So it doesn't reward tunneling one survivor. That's nonsense.
Now has 1 hook, and they've gained you a token. Your old obsession can now be hooked for more tokens. The time you lose from the stun will be mitigated in the end game by the time you've stacked several tokens.
Okay, potentially, but that's not something you should be banking on, because getting hit by DS is not reliable. And if you're getting hit by DS when you have 3%, they're still popping 3 gens on your fucking ass, because it's not doing anything. A 3% penalty is like, what, maybe an extra second, maybe an extra 2 seconds on a gen? Yeah, big fucking deal, dude. And if they're running around doing it together with their broken 44-second gen time, yeah, that they're still beating you easily. You gotta remember, base gen times are too fast. It's not that they're fast, it's that they're too fast. So if you're only applying 3% penalty, they're still too fast. That's why these lower numbers don't actually mean anything on Thana or Dying Light. They don't actually mean anything, because a fucking 3%/4% boost doesn't, like, the gens are too fast. So it's not that when, like, they're exactly where they need to be, they become too slow. It's that once you start racking up these tokens, that the game becomes balanced. It doesn't become broken for killer, it just becomes balanced, because it's so fast. Dying Light gives you an extra 20 per seconds on the generator. That's how it should be base. It makes the game balanced. So it sucks that you have to run 2-3 perks to balance the game for the developers, since they can't seem to do it. But those are the cards we've been dealt. Those are the cards we've been dealt. If you want to play this game, that's kind of shit you have to do.
If someone else is using Decisive Strike, then the process is more rewarding, since you can tunnel Obsession number 2 and get them out of the match and gain 2 more tokens doing so, since they've used their Decisive Strike already. You can use Furtive Chase to gain tokens in a similar manner.
Yeah, but that's less problematic for Dying Light. That's more of a nature with how the new DS works. If the survivor decides to burn their DS on Hook 2, and yeah, they leave themselves open to a Tunnel 3. That has nothing to do with Dying Light. That's just how Decisive Strike works now. It's not Dying Light being inherently toxic. Because he's trying to paint a picture that it's a toxic perk. It's not toxic. It's not toxic at all. if the survivor uses their DS and they don't have it anymore. That's how the perk works. That's how the perk Decisive Strike works. You want to blame something like that, blame Decisive Strike. Don't blame Dying Light. You're gonna fucking say that you want to talk about unhealthy perks, man. DS, the king of unhealthy perks.
Benefits of the perk are outclassed by many others, and it may not be worth its perk slot.
Exactly. That's why it's actually, like, good. Not well, good. That's why you can't say it's bad. Because what it's doing for you is better than, like, half the other, like, perks on this roster. Why would you ever run something like, I don't know, Bamboozle? I don't want to talk about a perk that's obviously bad, like Chlorophobia. I'm talking about these mid-tier perks, which is probably where Dying Light is for most people. Why would you ever want to run Surveillance over Dying Light? Like seriously, why run a mid-tier perk like Surveillance over Dying Light? Or a Hex Haunted Ground over a Dying Light? Or a Rancor? Like stuff that's like not even, or Franklin's Demise. Why would you ever want to run these perks over something that actively hits them in the win condition? And could potentially get you really good numbers that the survivors can't do anything about? Why would you actually want to run anything less than that? Especially in a post-ruin time. We are in a post-ruin time where gen stalling is more important than it has ever been before. So why would you waste a perk slot on something like Rancor when you could just run Dying Light and potentially stop the gates from even opening at all? We live in a post-ruin time where anything that is gen stalling inherently has some sort of value and is at least mid-tier. Again, you want to blame the ruin nerf for that? Go right ahead. But like, we live in a different time than we did, what, 2 months ago for this game? It's a different game right now. It's a different game.
Problem number 2 is that it relies on the obsession staying alive. We know
that's not a problem.
Like
you already said in this same video that one person dying could potentially just mean that the survivors lose. You've already said that. So again, if the Dying Light numbers are low and it's not doing much for you, and you have the obsession on Death Hook, just kill the obsession. Just kill the obsession. Chances are you'll at least tie if you do that.
Let themselves die in the hook if the match isn't going their way. This is going to be especially true when Dying Light begins to replace Ruin in many loadouts.
Okay, so he's saying that the survivors tend to kill themselves on hook 1. Yeah, that's behavior's fault, because they give them the option to do that. Here's what my solution for that is. If anyone's ever heard of Identity 5, if you want to be real, the only reason that survivors dying on the hook is an option is because the behavior gives them that power. They have control over that. In Identity 5, when a survivor is placed on the rocket chair, you sit there, friend. You sit there. You get to watch the game happen. You get to watch your characters struggle, and you can turn the camera. That's about all you can do. You don't get a choice. You get to sit there because it's unfair to the killer that you can do that. Again, this has nothing to do with Dying Light. This is toxicity on the survivor's part, not Dying Light. We kind of switched to an argument about toxicity here. Survivors killing themselves hook 1 is them being toxic, not you, not your perk. That's them being toxic, because that is inherently unfair to the killer, and they do that anyway. So it's like, why are we blaming Dying Light for a problem that's existed in the game since 2016? Like, ridiculous.
Many matches are going to be ruined due to this, and many
matches are going to be ruined due to this. You know what else ruins matches? The fact that they could end in 5 minutes because they nerf text ruin. You know what ruins matches? Teabagging and flashlight clicking. You know what ruins matches? An infinite fence on Haddonfield. There's a lot of shit in this game that ruins matches. Okay? And to say that Dying Light is going to ruin matches because it exists, like, big whoop. Get over it. Get over it, survivors. The amount of tools that they have at their disposal, and remember, gens are too fast. All Dying Light does is balance the game. Dying Light doesn't make the game unbalanced in your favor. Dying Light balances the game. So does Thana. All these gen stalling perks balance the game. That's what the old Ruin did too. And it's really weird that survivors think stuff that balances the game is OP, because that's all these gen stalling perks do, is balance the game.
Of their teammates leaving the game early. The DC punishment system that's incoming, and the Husk thing coming along with it, will not solve survivors deliberately dying on hooks to escape the match. Similar perks.
I've always said that.
Save the best for last, rely on the obsession staying alive. However, the effect of the perk boosts the killer rather than hindering the survivor.
Boost the killer rather than hindering the survivor. Yeah, but save the best for last doesn't hit him in the gens. That's the problem with it. Save the best for last doesn't hit him in the gens. I'm telling you, if you... Okay, look at my Freddy build. I'm going to say this again. If you want to have a realistically good build for killer, at least 3 of your 4 perks need to do something to the generators. At least. If you don't have 3 of your 4 perks synergizing in some way to deal with gens, in this case barbecue and chili even does synchronize with what my strategy is. So like 3, this is a gen stalling build, and even then I'm sure it won't work.
No survivor leaves the match because the killer is running.
What does save the best for last do for me here if I add it to my build? What does it do? It does nothing.
Save the best for last. The same will not be said about Dying Light, especially since the devs have chosen to tell the obsession that the killer is running Dying Light by giving the obsession a buff as part of the killer's perk. And problem number 3, its effect stacks. As mentioned before, there are a few killers...
Problem number 3, its effect stacks. Again, we live in a ruinless time. We live in a ruinless time. You need this stuff if you want to compete realistically. You need this stuff.
Effect built into their kit, but even outside of those killers, there are perks that work very well with Dying Light and has the potential to create a very negative gameplay experience for survivors.
A very negative gameplay experience for survivors. Who the fuck cares? What about my negative experience? What about my negative experience with the infinite loops? Like, I'm sick of the survivor sympathy. Absolutely sick of it. In my head, no one escapes death creates a negative experience for survivors. Creates a hex rule, man. It creates a negative experience for survivors. Creates a negative survivors, man. Fuck survivors. Seriously. Fuck survivors. Fucking teabag 44-second infinite loop having assholes. Fuck survivors. We sit here and matches go way too fucking fast. The structures are way too fucking strong. If you're losing as survivor, you got out fucking played. If the killer's losing, he might not have been getting outplayed. It's the nature of the fucking game. It's an unfun experience for survivors, man. Who cares? Once you want to address the 1750 reasons why I'm not having a fun experience, then I'll tone down what my build is. But until we address some of these maps and the gen speeds, this game has a lot of work to do so the killer can have a good experience. Why do all these killer players? This guy's a hag main. This guy's a fucking hag player. Like, I don't understand how we can sit here and go like, survivors might have a bad experience if you run Dying Light. Fuck you! What about my bad experience when they're not even running anything busted? Like, what about that? If somebody can run Disturbed Ward, I'm gonna have a bad experience. If somebody can run the Infinite Fence on Haddonfield, I'm gonna have a bad experience. Where's my sympathy? Why doesn't anybody give me sympathy? Yeah, you probably think I sound like a crybaby. That's what I hear when survivors go, ooh, Dying Light's OP, I have a bad experience, man. Fuck you. If I whine about my bad experiences, nobody cares and tells me to get good. If survivors whine about their bad experiences, we nerf Hex Ruin. That's what happens. Fuck off with the survivor sympathy in 2020 when games last 4 minutes. Grow the fuck up. The power role of this game is the survivors. The survivors have an inherent advantage. If the survivors are losing, they should have fucking shame. They should be ashamed. They got beat by an old man in a wheelchair. That's what the killer role is right now. It's a handicapped guy in a wheelchair. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
The most reliable perk to pair with Dying Light, since Dying Light's effect isn't strong until the late game, where you may have already eliminated a survivor, limiting your benefit from Thanatophobia. Being able to instantly remove 25% of a gen and apply a stackable 3% debuff to progression synergizes too well to ignore.
Exactly. That's why I did. Like, this guy would seemingly disagree with Oates about it being bad. It has too much synergy. It has too much synergy to be bad.
Problem number 4. It's from a licensed DLC. This version of Dying Light may replace Ruin as the go-to perk for slowing the game down.
Yeah, see how well that only happened after Ruin was nerfed.
Monto's gonna have to change his end screen now. It can't be removed by survivors without handicapping the entire team.
Yep.
And the longer it stays,
that's why it's good.
The stronger it becomes. If killers want to slow the game down enough to matter, they may feel obligated to purchase the shape in order to unlock the perk.
Yeah, but
this creates a situation where Light may become a pay-to-win perk for matches, just as much as barbecue and chili is to get through the grind of Dead by Daylight.
Killers don't get to win. That's how it's not pay to win. If you're playing to win while playing killer, you're here for the wrong reason, because you won't be winning over half your games.
This is a problem with many other perks, but it's more apparent with a perk that fixes a core problem of the Dead by Daylight
gameplay. A core problem with the gameplay. A perk that fixes the core issue. Faster gen speeds.
A potentially powerful and game-winning way. Problem number 5, it works. From the few
problem
times
number 5, it works. And I think that's where we're gonna end it, folks. Problem number 5 with Dying Light, it works. Oh, goddamn.
Feels as though Gen's slow to a crawl at 4 tokens when I'm using Pop to go with it.
It feels like Gen's slow to a crawl. So the obsession getting hit by doesn't actually, not being hit by doesn't matter. The gens are slow.
Testing, but so far it works much better than I expected it to.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this is a band-aid fix to the gen problem that plagues Dead by Daylight, and since it works, we may never see a fix to the survivors' objectives, or a balance.
We're not gonna see that anyway.
To the speed at which gens can be finished.
Yeah, but we're not gonna see that anyway. Behavior's already said we're not gonna nerf the gens, so fuck you, killers. So why should I not run this? It works.
I can't give it a definitive grade without more testing, but I'm going to tentatively say that Dying Light is a B in effectiveness and a D for its impact on a healthy game experience for survivors.
A D on its experience for like a healthy game experience for survivors, which means it's probably an A+ as a healthy game experience for you. By balancing the game. That's all it does. Like, this community is so ass fucking backwards with what our priorities are. Killer needs fixed. Desperately, lads. And all we care about is survivors. It's fucking bullshit. Fuck survivors and fuck this game. Dying Light's a good perk. Keep running it. End of story. GG.